sometimes to be in the midst of all the world, be in the midst of everything, and still find a place of solitude. Can you say amen? The God Christ that gave without end, his endless love was poured out even upon the cross. But yet he was still man, the Son of Mary, very still limited in his human ways by a human body. But he had a solitary place to go to. And you know what? Because of the hustle and bustle of life, we need that often and so often. Yes, I want to tell you what, fellowship is wonderful. The Bible said that, in fact, the elder talked about it, if I'm not mistaken, here not too long ago, he was preaching and he mentioned the fact that the apostles continued in breaking of bread and fellowship. And there is a continual breaking of bread and fellowship. Yes, fellowship is good. Fellowship is healthy. Fellowship is something wonderful. Fellowship is something that we need. But I will tell you again, there's a time of solitude that we need away from the hustle and bustle of life. We need it because we've got to get a hold of the one that loves us unconditionally. Did you catch that? We got to get a hold of Christ, the one that loves us unconditionally. You know what? People put conditions on life. For example, at work, somebody says, will you buy me a Coke? I'll buy you a Coke. Well, if I buy you a Coke, it's because I'm just buying you a Coke. I don't want you to have to return it back to me because, you know, the Bible teaches us it's better to give than to receive. So it's better for me just to give and let God do the returning than for a person to give the return. And so they always have conditions on things. Do this for me, I'll do that for you. Do this for me, I'll get that for you. I'd always have to tell the kids, you do this, I'll take care of you here. Y'all behave in the car, I'll take you to McDonald's. You know, if you don't behave in the car, I won't take you to McDonald's, you know. There's conditions on life. You know, we always have conditions. You know, because if you do something good, the wife gives you a little smooch. You don't do something good, you don't get the smooch. Always conditions in life about certain things. Can you say amen? And that's the way things are in our world. But the Lord loves us unconditionally. While we were yet sinners, Christ died for the ungodly. He died for us while we were yet sinners. He knew what we were and knows what we are. And yet he loves us unconditionally. Can you say amen? Sometimes it just hits us. We need that solitary place away from friends and families, and spouse and our children. A place to yourself, giving your first fruits back to God. I want to read for you in Songs of Solomon. If you turn there, please. The book of Songs of Solomon, chapter number 2. I want to read verse 14 and 15. Now, when I read these, you're probably not going to really connect a lot to what I got to say, but I'm going to explain it and connect it for you. Songs of Solomon, chapter number 2, verse 14 and verse 15. I'm going to read from the King James. It said, O my dove, that art in the clefts of the rock, in the secret places of the stairs, let me see thy countenance, let me hear thy voice, for sweet is thy voice, and thy countenance is comely. Take us the foxes, the little foxes that spoil the vines, for our vines have tender grapes. Now, this is really a typology of Christ in the church. But this particular time, this woman who was actually speaking to Solomon, her name is Shulamith. And Shulamith became a lover of Solomon. And a woman that he loved almost unconditionally. And because his love for her and her love for him was really on a parallel match. Most women love Solomon because of his wisdom or wealth. Story states that he disrobed himself from the kingly garb and he put on just mankind or just normal people's clothing and found someone to love him for who he was as a human and not as the king and not with that wisdom. Well, in this typology, to me it's the same thing with Christ in the church. In this typology, she tells him, you're the one that I love. You're the one that I love in the cleft of the rocks. I love you. Your love for me, even on the places on the mountainsides. And she just wants to see his face. She just wants to have his presence and just wants him there. That's that solitude that she needed with him. But there's something that took place in verse 15. She made a statement. And she said in verse 15, reading from the NIV, catch for us the foxes, the little foxes that ruin the vineyards, our vineyards that are in blossom. What it was that when she got to the solitude, when she got to the place that she could petition, there was something that was in her heart that she needed from him. Understand what I'm saying to you today. That we have prayer. And we can say, oh Lord, I love you. We lift our hands and worship him. But sometimes when you get in that solitude, there's a real problem you got to deal with. There's a real situation that you've got to ask God to help you in and help you overcome and help you get through. There's something for real. She told him that it's the little foxes. In other words, they had a vineyard. And in this vineyard, it wasn't the big things in life that was messing up the vineyard. It was the little teeny foxes, the baby foxes that were let loose from the mother. And they would go and gnaw at the vineyards and they would get a hold of the grapes and destroy the vines. And she wanted him to come and take care of the little things in life. You see, we so often can get set back because of such big things in life. But you would really be surprised so often how you let the little things in life really mess you up. Right. Because I remember one time my brother came to me and he had some big problems in his life, and he's going to give up, going to quit church, going to give up God, going to give up his family, going to give up everything. He had all these big problems in his life. So I got that pot of coffee. We sat down at my kitchen table. I got my pencil and paper out. I said, come on, tell me, what are they? And tell me what we got going on. And he says, all right, here we go. I said, name them all. He gave me number one. I wrote number one. All right, what's number two? He said, he thought for a second, number two. We wrote it off. All right, what's number three? He thought a little longer. Oh yeah, number three, here we go, blah, 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 blah. Wrote it down. All right, what's number four? You got all these big things in your world that's knocking you out. You're going to lose everything in life over it. What's number four? Well, I can't think. Hang on a minute. So he thought for a little while. Pretty soon something came across his mind. And he said, well, that's really not that big. So we'll just leave those three. I said, so 3 things in your life is going to blow your world apart. These big things in life. All right. So I said, here's how we do it. So I told him how to take care of number 1, number 2, and number 3. And we had a lot of room left over. And all of a sudden it dawned on him that problems weren't quite as big as he thought they were. But I want to tell you something. It's the little things in life that chew at you that really get a hold of you and destroy your life. Right. A lot of little things. Little things. Anybody driving Houston? Yeah. A lot of little things can get a hold of you. Yeah. And you can lose your victory quickly while you're going through Houston. As you're driving. And everybody said amen. Amen. Sure. I know I'm right. You know what? You can come to church and it's the little things people say or don't say. Right. They can really get a hold of you. You can come to church and it's the way people do or don't do. They can get a hold of you. You know? I don't know how you can read between the lines sometimes, but people shake my hand and they want to know, am I okay? Well, I shook your hand just like I did last time. I didn't know any difference. You know? Sometimes it's a figment of our imaginations. I'll tell you what we need to do. We need to get down to our solitude place. And we need to talk to God. And we need to get an answer from God. And we need to learn how to get through these situations. We cannot allow the things of life to set us back and to lose our salvation over. Can you say amen? I'm telling you the truth. Jesus was in the public eye of demand. His fame was widespread and it became very strenuous to his body. I'll tell you what, it can be strenuous to your body because when your mind is constantly at guard, constantly on guard, trying to think and trying to work things out, it can really physically mess you up. Matthew 26:41, Jesus said, the spirit indeed is willing, but what? Come on, what does it say? The spirit indeed is willing, but what? The flesh is weak. When you say that, the flesh is weak. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. And that's the truth in life. We know that's the truth in life. Because it's our flesh so often that gets in our way. It's our flesh that so often needs that solitude place. That place that we can get a hold of God and get a hold of something that can help us get through and lift us and get our spirits back where they need to be. Christ, the Bible teaches us, he said, I must needs go. I heard him say that by his word. I must needs go. There are times that we must need to go. We have got to get away. We've got to get down with God. We've got to get to a place where God has got to be private with us and in a place of privacy. I want to tell you, I love church. I love church with all my heart. I love coming to church. I love the fellowship. I love the friendship. I love doing the things that we do together. I love the picnics. I love everything that happens with church. I love the music. I love all that is said and done. But I will also tell you this. Sometimes I still got to get alone with God. I looked at this again and how that Jesus, that when he got up early that morning and went to a place, a solitary place, a place all by himself. He just got up and he knew where that was. And he knew that Garden of Gethsemane was a place that he could go and people wouldn't bother him, people would not be around him, and he could get on his face because he was still man, yet God. And he still had flesh upon him, and he had to overcome that flesh. He had to overcome it. There are times, you think that Jesus didn't have to overcome. He did have to overcome. The Bible teaches us he was tempted on every point in every way, just as we are. You think that he was without temptation? You think that he didn't have problems in life? You think that there were things that didn't come against him? Absolutely. Demons were always trying to pursue him. The devil personally sought after him. And people are always tempting him. There was always things that took place. The scribes and Pharisees, those religious leaders of life, they were always on him trying to trick him. There were lawyers that trying to trick him and upset him and do him wrong. But he always had the answer. Why did he have the answer? It's because he found a place of solitude. And he found a place that he could get his mind at rest and his body at rest and his life at rest. You do not realize, though, he prayed that in that Garden of Gethsemane right prior to his death. He was alone with God. And he told God that the fleshly body of Jesus Christ told that spirit that was within him and omnipresent everywhere. He even told him, if there's any way that I could let this cup pass from me. But he said, nevertheless, it's not going to happen. Right. Not my will, but thy will be done. After his place of solitude, when they came and Judas Iscariot came to give him the kiss of betrayal, he looked at him and said, friend, do what you do. There it is. Friend, why are you here? He got that betrayal kiss from a friend. But he was okay. He had his place of solitude. Peter got his sword out and cut the high priest's servant's ear off. Jesus already had his solitude. Reached up, took the ear and put it back upon the face of that man and brought healing to his body. Went and took the ridicule. Went and took the beating. Took the stripes. Took all of that. Got on the cross and said, Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. Right. He had a place of solitude to give him the right answers to face the day. Amen. Amen. That's right. I'll tell you, you find your world collapsing about you. You find your world tumbling all around you. I will tell you, find a place of solitude. Amen. Find a place all by yourself that you can talk to God and get things right. He didn't want anyone to invade his solitary place. That's why he said, let's go to the villages. Come on, let's get away from here. Let's go on. Let's move on. Do you have a place of solitude? Is there a place in this church that you like to get to and pray? Is there? There probably is. Now, my place I pray is really right here. That's usually where I pray. Now, if I'm not praying here, then it's not my solitude place. I'm just praying and working and fellowship and doing things. But when I'm right there, that's my solitude. And that's when I'm all alone with the Lord. And that's when I can get some answers. God can speak to my heart. God can help me. Let my spirit overcome. Let my life overcome. Because there are things that I face every day as well as you do. Jesus wanted to be all alone. Your solitary place is a place just for you and Jesus to be with you. Do you not realize that after Elijah faced the 850 prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel, he needed a solitary place? Oh yeah. Yeah, he had to have a solitary place. Do you not know that when Moses went up on Mount Sinai, he needed a solitary place with the Lord? He had to get a solitary place with God. If you wish to know the counsels of God,